Okay, so we had a little void here on the front of this tooth right here, so we filled it with zinc phosphate cement. Now we're going to use a red pencil and that red pencil marks the margins of where the crown's going to be. There we go. Then we put just a touch of dilube on it. We put a base on our dilube so it wouldn't tip the bottle over easily. Put just a touch here, and then we've got a little bit on the interproximals of the teeth where we're going to go. Actually put it on the mesial, that one didn't need it there. Blow the excess off. Okay, once that's set, we'll take some crown and bridge wax. We're going to basically create the whole shape of the tooth in wax. This is where you get to practice your sculpting skills. Starting out by just putting a little bit right at the margins. The ideal is not to go too far down because then you have to trim it all back. Just making sure we've got a nice even coat of wax over the whole tooth. Now we're adding just enough wax to the crown to form the thickness of the metal to replace the tooth that was cut away when the tooth was prepared.
Oh, twice now.
So he's gonna not do the... Okay, so the crown that you just made is now in the box, the metal box, okay?
Notice how that's starting to create just a pattern. Just the shape of the tooth. In an ideal world, you would have trimmed your die so that it forms the shape of the emergence profile of the crown coming off of the tooth. Of the tooth as it's coming along.
Yes.
Starting to develop that with the wax. And we want just enough so that it's thick enough to be strong.
Pull it off.
Well, and to replace everything that's missing.
And hold its shape by itself, right?
Well, the metal, even in thin, will be able to hold its shape. I'm going to put just a little bit here on the occlusal. how it's kind of thin right here. So I'll add just a little bit to it. Okay, now we've got most of our contours in place. Now I want to fill in the part here that forms the inner proximals. Can you see that, how that's just molding right into there?
Mm-hmm.
The longer the contact is, the less likely food's going to get caught in between the teeth. A little bit of a thin spot right there. So fill that up with a little bit of wax. Now just for fun, I'm going to take the opposing cast, put it right into place. There we go. Make sure I've got the proper contacts right there. That's pretty close. I just don't want my crown to be too high when I put it in the mouth. Now I'm just trying to keep the contours nice and tiny. Most of the time you'd mount this on an articulator, but this gives me such an easy to fit hand articulation here that I'm not really even worrying about it. And you can see how I've got a really good contact right there, right on the occlusion of the tooth.
Mm-hmm.
I'll bring just a little bit more height right here. When you build the contours, about where you want your thing to be. Now let's see here. Come on, where'd you go? That's pretty close. Now I'm using the the shape of the instrument to just smooth out all of the wax. There we go. Just making sure I've got good occlusion there. Alright. Now we're going to pop this little pin right here. And I'll slide this right out. We've got our contours fairly tight. Now I'm going to just kind of flow it together. Right here. Okay. I'm actually using a number 7 wax spatula. Notice how there's a little void right there. So we'll just take that. Okay. Too soft. We'll come back to that in a minute. Okay, and I'm taking my wax spatula, basically trimming it down to...
That's not a wax spatula.
It's a number 7 wax spatula.
Oh, okay.
You can see how I'm just sculpting this so that it's fairly smooth.
Yep.
And it's just a light flow of the spatula right over the surface. See how I'm picking up the rough edges right there and just kind of smoothing it out.
Yes.
I'm taking it right down to the margin. I want to be able to see my red mark, so I just have to keep dragging it across here until I see the red show up. And it should give me not only the red, but it should give a nice defined margin. Now see that void right there?
Mm-hmm. Well, it's hard to see from here. Where's the void?
Right there.
The one that you already filled? There's a new one.
There. That was a void in the wax.
Oh, okay.
And just a touch right here. Just slowly rolling it back and forth across the margins, right up in the edges so for the line angles.
Mm-hmm.
There's the red mark showing up.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit of an extra right there. See that little bit?
Mm-hmm.
See how it's coming away right there? Okay. So now we've got it fairly close. Developing a cusp right here. So it has a little indentation right here for the development groove of the cusp. Right here we're going to do the same thing, coming back. Ran it right up to the cusp of the tooth. Now the lingual cusp here is going to be a little bit more prominent. And the buccal cusp here, just a little bit of a shape. And there's almost a triangular shape, you can see. The triangle comes right up here, the tip's up here, and the base is down here. Then we have one more right back here.
So are these carvings to the shape of the tooth, or are these carvings to the shape of the whatever the tooth is on the opposing tooth?
Uh-huh. Both.
It's both?
Uh-huh. Okay, so notice how I've got it mostly now I'm going to just kind of use a brush, just kind of give it the dimensions. Just a little bit of roughness right across there. Yeah, we're pretty close. Now, I'm going to hold one part of the die with this. I'm going to grab the top of the crown with my finger. Then I'm going to pinch my fingers against each other so that it pushes it up. See how that just slides that right off of there now? You can check to see if there's any extra. So there's a little bit of extra material right down here. Okay. There we go. See our fit right along the margins. Maybe just a hair long right here. Okay. That's pretty close. The wax is fairly smooth. The smoother it is, the less we have to polish later.
Mm-hmm.
This right here actually creates a little developmental groove right through here, which is pretty. Then we're going to take a sprue. So I'm going to take this get it warm, and then just get it soft enough so that it, or hard enough so that it holds.
How did you get that stuck in there?
I just put it,
Or
got
is it
it
just
hot.
sitting on top?
Oh no, it's glued with wax. There we go. So now you can look at it.
Thank you.
Let me grab a investment ring.